Hi everybody, welcome to week 3. So, what are we going to be talking about this week? One is historical lenses. And there's a little bit of confusion on this sometimes. Historical lenses is something the author picks to focus on a topic, sort of through a specific angle. For example, let's say I'm doing the apartheid subject, which some of you have chosen. You could look at that just from an economic perspective. You could look at it from a social perspective. Heck, you could look at it from a geography perspective to see where African Americans were forced to live. There's a lot of ways, but here's what you need to remember. The author chooses their lens, okay? The author chooses how to tackle, what perspective they choose to come from, how to tackle their own topic. So that's something to keep in mind. You don't choose their lens. You need to realize how that author is choosing to write. Thesis statements. We're going to start talking about thesis statements. And I will point blank tell you, I do not like how the book has you write a thesis statement. I'm going to provide some extra sources that I think make it, I'll just say it, easier to write a thesis. Because remember, as I mentioned last week, we're not writing this entire paper. We are going to be writing the introduction for this paper and a couple of supporting paragraphs. But one thing you will be asked to include is a thesis. Also, your questions that you were asked to start sort of developing last week. Your research questions, one thing I want you to keep in mind, don't make them too broad. You don't want to make the questions so broad that you could write a book about it, okay? That doesn't help, okay? Think of like a 3 to 5 page paper, okay? You also don't want to ask a question that could literally be answered in a word or even one sentence, okay? You want something a little bit narrower, okay? And I want you to remember, these are fluid. Keep developing these. You can change them, tweak them from week to week. Don't feel like you're stuck with your original questions. Okay, and one last thing. Secondary sources is what we're going to be working at with a little bit this week. Remember, primary sources came from the time period, right, when something happened. It was something someone wrote down. It could be an artifact, but it's from that time period. A secondary source is something where often a historian has sat down and done some analysis. They've looked at other primary sources, they've looked at other authors' secondary sources, and they analyze a topic from, again, their lens, their angle, and what their thoughts are on that topic. So I hope that sort of helps maybe understand a few things from this week. I am sitting down right now to start grading your project submissions from last week, so you can start working on those and make sure you're sort of on your way with your topic. I will make sure and give you plenty of feedback on those research questions. And keep in mind too, there's usually a little bit of confusion about this. We are going to narrow it down to one question eventually. Even though we kind of start off with 2 for research purposes and just to kind of get an idea of how to look up sources, how to write these questions, eventually you're going to pick one, or some people even sort of end up blending 2 into one. So I just kind of wanted to give you an idea of where we're going this week. Remember, you can always reach out and ask me questions. I'm always here when you need me. Again, my number is up in the information section if you have something immediately and you need to text me. Again, I do try to check my email once a day just in case you need me. So I hope you have a fabulous week, and I hope everything's going good. I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.